The crash did not make much sound. That surprised the aliens watching from the high metal towers. They expected fire noise and panic. Instead, the small human ship cut through the sky like a wounded bird and slid into the thick green forest beyond the research zone. Trees bent, leaves flew. Then silence returned. The jungle moon of Vesha was never truly quiet. Insects hummed. Distant creatures roared low and deep. The air felt alive, heavy, and warm. Hidden eyes watched everything that moved. Inside the broken ship, the human woman opened her eyes slowly. Her name was Lena. Blood ran down the side of her forehead, but she did not scream. She touched her head, felt the pain, then forced herself to breathe slowly. The ship was dead, the lights were gone. Smoke filled the air. She unbuckled herself and stood up with care, her boots crunching on broken glass. She looked around, checking what she could save. A small pack, a broken scanner. No weapons, no signal. Lena closed her eyes for a moment. Then she laughed very softly. Above the forest, hidden from her view, alien eyes focused on her every move. The beings in the towers were tall and thin, with pale gray skin and wide black eyes. They called themselves the Keth. To them, fear was simple. Fear meant weakness. Fear meant control. They had studied many species across many systems. When creatures were afraid, they ran. When they ran, they could be owned. Humans were new. She should be screaming, he said calmly. Another alien tilted its head. Her heart rate is high, but her movement is controlled. Fear, the leader replied. Strong fear. They sent ground units. Lena heard them before she saw them. The jungle grew quiet in a way that felt wrong. Birds stopped calling. Insects went still. Then the plants moved in a pattern that did not belong to the wind. She turned slowly, her hands open, her body relaxed. Tall shapes stepped into view. Smooth armor, long arms, weapons that hummed with soft light, aliens. Lena did not run. She raised her hands, palms forward, and stood still. The Keth soldiers froze. She accepts capture, one said. Total fear response, another replied. They surrounded her and placed a control band around her wrists. It sent a small shock through her body. Lena hissed in pain but stayed on her feet. See, the leader said from the tower, fear. They took her to the outpost. The Keith research station sat at the edge of the jungle, half metal, half stone, built to watch without being noticed. Inside, cold lights replaced sunlight. The air smelled clean and sharp. Lena was placed inside a clear holding chamber. The walls were thick and strong. She tested them once, gently, then sat down. She watched everything. The Keth watched her. They spoke in low tones, studying her breathing, her eyes, her posture. She does not cry, one said. She does not beg, said another. Fear can be quiet, the leader answered. Humans are known to break later. They decided to speed the process. Deep within the outpost was a habitat zone. It was the most dangerous place on Vesha. Behind heavy walls lived the cubs of the moon's apex predator. The adults of that species were massive, fast, and deadly. Even the Keth feared them. The cubs were smaller but still dangerous. Sharp teeth, strong claws, unstable minds. The Keth used them for testing fear. They moved Lena without explanation. The floor beneath her feet changed from metal to dark stone. The air grew warmer. She smelled earth, blood, and something wild. She was pushed into another clear chamber, larger than the first. Inside it, shapes moved. 3 cubs crouched in the shadows. Each was the size of a large dog with thick limbs, black fur, and glowing eyes that reflected the light. Lena froze. The Keth leaned forward in excitement. There, one whispered. Their heads lifted. Their bodies went low. Tails flicked slowly. They circled, muscles tight, teeth showing. Lena's heart hammered in her chest, but she did not scream. She slowly lowered herself to one knee. The Keth exchanged confused looks. She is submitting, one said. She knows she will die, another replied. Lena placed her hands on the ground, fingers spread, making herself smaller. She kept her eyes on the cubs, but did not stare. Her breathing slowed. The cubs crept closer. One growled. Lena spoke. Her voice was soft, low, and steady. The words were simple, old sounds used by humans long before space travel. Sounds meant to calm animals, not threaten them. The cubs paused. The Keith leader frowned. She's trying to communicate, he said. foolish. One cub stepped closer. Its nose twitched. It sniffed the air, then Lena's hand. She did not pull away. The cub touched her fingers with its nose. Warm breath brushed her skin. Lena smiled. Not wide. Not foolish. Just enough. The cub sneezed and pulled back, confused. The other cubs shifted, unsure. The Keth chamber went silent. That is not fear, one alien said slowly. The leader watched closely. It is delayed fear. The cubs did not attack. Instead, one lay down. Another sat, watching Lena with sharp interest. Lena stayed still, speaking softly, her body relaxed but ready. She was not fearless. In the jungle beyond the outpost, something large moved. Trees bent. The ground shook. A deep sound rolled through the air, low and angry. The Keth sensors flared red. The leader's eyes widened. The adult, he said. The mother is near. Inside the habitat, Lena felt it too. The cubs reacted at once, standing and turning toward the distant sound. Their ears flattened. Their bodies tensed. Lena stopped speaking. The sound came again, closer now. The cubs looked at Lena. For just a moment, she felt it. The shift. The danger. She swallowed, and stayed exactly where she was. High above, the Keth realized something was very wrong. The human was not afraid of the cubs. She was waiting, and whatever was coming from the jungle was far worse. The lights flickered. The habitat walls vibrated, and part one ended with every eye, human and alien, locked on the same truth. They had misunderstood fear, and they had placed it inside their own walls. Lena stayed still, her eyes following every movement of the cubs. Their small bodies twitched nervously, ears flicking toward the jungle. She could feel the tension in the air, heavy like wet stone. She knew the mother was coming. Every instinct in her body told her to run, but she did not. Running would only make the cubs panic. Fear would make them strike, and then the mother would find her alone. The cubs circled her slowly, their claws clicking lightly on the stone floor. Lena crouched slightly, keeping her weight low. She spoke in a soft hum, the tones rising and falling, careful and steady. The cubs sniffed again, then pressed their heads to the ground, testing her, testing themselves. One of the cubs, the largest, stepped closer than the others and sniffed her hand. Lena remained motionless, allowing the small creature to examine her. It nuzzled her fingers, and for a moment the alien observers in the towers above thought the human must be blind, deaf, or in shock. None of them could understand what they were witnessing. She is still alive, one alien said, confusion rising in its voice. She is playing, another answered carefully. The words seemed strange even to them. The Keth leader's eyes narrowed. Playing? With apex predators? Yes, said a junior observer. She does not run. She does not panic. She is interacting with them. The mother predator's footsteps shook the ground outside. The sensors reported vibrations growing closer. The sound was terrifying, low and rhythmic, like the beat of some enormous drum. The aliens felt it in their bones. Lena felt it too, deep in her chest, a vibration that matched her pulse. The cubs stiffened. Their eyes reflected the dim light, bright and sharp. Lena shifted slightly, leaning forward just enough to show curiosity without threat. One cub tilted its head. The other two followed her movement. She reached out her hand slowly, fingers extended, and touched the fur of the largest cub. It hissed softly at first, then relaxed, pressing against her palm. Lena smiled slightly. Not a wide smile, but a small one, full of calm understanding. The Keth in the observation tower whispered among themselves, their voices low. They had never seen such control. The Keth studied fear in hundreds of species. They knew panic, submission, and terror. This human displayed none. Instead, she displayed something the aliens did not understand. Dominance, or some strange instinct that belonged to predators themselves. Outside, the mother predator paused near the outer walls. Its massive body was covered in black fur with streaks of dark red, the color of blood and shadow. Its eyes glowed with intelligence. It sniffed the air and let out a low rumble. Its cubs twitched, glancing at the human. Lena sensed their unease and lowered her body even more, rolling slightly to the side. The cubs followed, crouching low. She kept her hands visible, open and calm. Her eyes did not leave them. The mother predator growled louder. The sound echoed through the jungle and shook the walls of the outpost. The Keth froze. She will not survive this, one of the observers said quietly. She is alive because the cubs do not attack, the leader replied, voice tight. But the mother, it will kill her. Lena's mind worked fast. She did not have weapons. She had no shield. She had only her body, her instincts, and the trust of the cubs. She knew that to survive, she had to remain calm. She had to make the cubs feel she was part of their pack. She had to make the mother believe she was no threat. She breathed slowly, matching her heartbeat with the rhythm of the jungle vibrations. The cubs mirrored her movements. They crouched low, tails flicking. Their bodies were tense, but they did not strike. Minutes passed. The mother predator prowled the edge of the sensor field, growling and sniffing. Lena reached out again, her voice a low murmur. The cubs responded immediately, moving closer to her. One of them brushed against her shoulder. She did not flinch. The aliens in the tower watched with growing alarm. They could not comprehend how a human could control creatures so dangerous without weapons or force. Every species they had studied relied on dominance through fear. This human relied on something else, something older, something primal. The largest cub pressed its head against Lena's chest. She placed her hands gently on its back. It purred softly, a deep rumble that vibrated through her arms. The other two cubs circled and did the same. The Keth leader gritted his teeth. "Impossible," he whispered. Outside, the mother predator let out a howl that echoed through the jungle. The walls shook. The sensors flared red. The cubs froze, looking toward the sound. Lena felt the tension spike. She knew the mother was deciding whether to attack or retreat. The cubs would follow. She had to give them confidence. She straightened slightly, maintaining her calm, and hummed a low tone. The cubs responded, lowering their bodies but keeping their eyes forward. Their trust in her was growing. The mother predator growled again, louder this time, pacing. Lena did not flinch. She remained still, her gaze steady. The Keth soldiers in the chamber outside the habitat murmured among themselves. She is not afraid," one said. "She is controlling them," another whispered. "Humans are unpredictable," the leader said, his voice tight. "They are small, weak, and yet dangerous." The mother predator's body tensed. Its eyes scanned the habitat. It sensed the cubs were calm. It sensed the human was unafraid. Its claws dug into the soft jungle soil. Lena did not move. She let the cubs show her side, letting them act as shields without pushing them. Her movements were slow, deliberate, and natural. She spoke softly, humming the strange tones humans used with animals. The cubs responded immediately. They lowered their bodies, hissed softly, and circled closer around her. The mother predator growled, pacing closer. Lena's pulse quickened, but her breathing remained steady. She knew that if she panicked, it would signal the cubs to strike or flee. She could not let fear guide her. She had to guide them. Slowly, she reached out one hand, palm down, toward the largest cub. It pressed its nose against her fingers. She did not pull away. She felt warmth, fur brushing against her skin. The cub's claws dug slightly into the stone floor, but it stayed. She whispered softly, a low human hum. The cub responded with a deep, vibrating purr. The other two followed, brushing against her legs, tails flicking lightly. The mother predator stopped at the edge of the clearing. It sniffed the air, its nostrils flaring. Its glowing eyes followed every movement. Then it let out a low, threatening growl. Lena did not react. She stayed low, calm, and steady. The cubs mirrored her, moving between her and the walls. Her instincts told her that the mother was testing them. "I would be so happy." She let them show her side, letting the cubs act as a barrier. Slowly, deliberately, she began to hum again, a low, rolling sound. The cubs responded, stepping closer to her, tails flicking, eyes alert but calm. The Keth observers in the tower exchanged worried glances. "She is teaching them," one said. The leader frowned. "No. She is surviving." The mother predator growled again and stepped forward. The cubs tensed but did not strike. Lena felt the vibration through her chest, through the soles of her boots. She could feel every heartbeat of the cubs, every muscle ready to spring. She knew she had to stay calm, that any sudden movement could cause disaster. Slowly, she moved her hands, palms open, toward the cubs. She let them brush against her, let them feel her calm, let them trust her completely. They hissed once, low, but then relaxed, pressing against her body for warmth and reassurance. The mother predator sniffed again, pacing in circles. It growled once more. Lena's gaze stayed fixed on the cubs. She did not look at the mother directly. She let the cubs show dominance by proximity. Slowly, the mother predator paused, listening to the low hum of Lena's voice. It sniffed the air. Its tail flicked. It seemed confused. Then, after a long moment, it let out a rumble and backed away slightly. Lena felt the tension ease slightly. The cubs relaxed further. She whispered softly to them, letting her voice guide them. They moved closer to her, heads low, bodies calm but alert. Lena's instincts guided them like threads. She did not strike, she did not command. She simply let them feel her calm. It worked. The Keth observers were silent. They could not understand. Their calculations had failed. Fear, panic, dominance, all had no place here. The human had changed everything. She had no weapons, no armor, no shields, and yet the apex predator mother had paused. The cubs were safe. The human had survived. Lena breathed slowly, letting her mind calm. The cubs pressed closer, their small bodies warm against her. She could hear their hearts beat. The mother predator moved back into the jungle, still growling, still watching, but not attacking. Lena smiled faintly. She knew this was only the beginning, but the first test had been won. The Keth leader clenched his fists. "She's not weak," he said quietly. "She is something else." The cubs curled against her, warm and trusting. Lena did not move. No weapons. No technology, no hope. Beyond her instincts and the trust of the predators around her. And yet she survived. She had not been afraid. Not of the cubs, not of the mother, not of the aliens watching her, the Keth observed in silence. They could not comprehend it. Their reports had always worked. Fear had always been the language of survival. But this human had spoken another language. Calm, patience, understanding. She had played with predators as if they were children, and they had accepted her. And deep in her mind, Lena knew this was only the first step. The jungle outside was still alive with danger. The mother predator still waited. Other threats lurked. The Keth themselves were unpredictable. But for now, she had won the trust of the cubs. And trust, she knew, was stronger than fear. The first night in the habitat passed. The cubs slept near her, bodies warm and close. Lena lay on the stone floor, listening to their soft breathing, their little claws scratching gently against the walls. The jungle outside howled and roared, but she did not flinch. She closed her eyes and breathed, letting her instincts guide her. The cubs curled against her, calm, safe, and alive. And Lena, small and fragile in the eyes of Keth, knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but she also knew she would meet them, calm, steady, and unafraid. The aliens recorded it. The Keth leader stared at the screen, silent. This human was not a test subject. She was not prey. She was something far more dangerous. She was unpredictable. She was human. And that was far more terrifying than any predator. The jungle outside the outpost shook again. Lena could feel it through the stone floor beneath her hands and knees. The vibration was steady, deep, like a drum beat that grew louder with every passing second. She kept her body low, close to the cubs, and whispered softly. The cubs pressed their heads against her, tense but trusting. Their small claws scratched lightly, but they did not bite. The air smelled of wet earth, blood, and fear. Not her fear, but the forest's. The Keth observers watched from the towers above. Their long black eyes were wide. "It is moving," one whispered. "The mother predator approaches the outpost." The Keth leader tapped his fingers against the console. "Prepare the defenses," he ordered. "If it breaches the perimeter, all will die." She had no weapons. She had no shields. She had only her instincts and the trust of the cubs. That had been enough before. It would have to be enough again. She pressed her hands gently against the largest cub, humming softly. Its body relaxed a little. The other two followed her lead. Lena could feel their heartbeat. Fast. Sharp. Alert. Ready to strike, yet waiting for her signal. The mother predator's steps came closer. The ground outside trembled under her weight. Lena could hear the low growl now, vibrating through the walls of the habitat. The cubs stiffened. Their small bodies pressed against her, but they did not flee. Lena stayed still. She let her mind slow, letting every sense become sharp. She smelled the jungle, heard the soft rustle of leaves, and felt the rhythm of the predators' hearts. She could feel the mother outside, curious, cautious, angry. She knew the mother was deciding. Attack or retreat. The Keth soldiers whispered in the chamber outside the habitat. "She will die," one said. "The mother is too close." "She is still alive," another answered. "She does not scream." "She does not flee." The Keth leader stared at the monitors. His jaw tightened. "Humans are unpredictable. We misjudged her." Inside the habitat, Lena slowly rose to her knees. She did not look at the cubs directly. She let them move around her, forming a circle between her and the walls. She placed her hands on the ground and shifted slightly, leaning toward the largest cub. It sniffed her palm, then nuzzled it gently. The other two mirrored the movement. Lena whispered a low, rolling hum that humans use to calm dangerous animals. The cubs responded immediately, tails flicking, bodies relaxing, ears moving back. The Keth observers frowned. They had expected fear to break her control. Instead, her calm commanded the cubs. The mother predator's growl came again, louder, shaking the walls of the outpost. Lena felt it, vibrating through her bones. The cubs stiffened but did not run. She breathed slowly, matching her pulse to the rhythm of the forest. Her calm was infectious. The cubs mirrored it. She let her eyes follow the mother predator through the sensors. The giant black shape moved closer, massive paws crushing the soil, tail swishing slowly. Its glowing eyes scanned the habitat. Lena did not look directly at it. She let the cubs take the focus, moving between herself and the danger. She knew if she signaled panic, the cubs would strike and the mother would attack. The mother predator circled near the perimeter. It sniffed the air, low and threatening. Lena spoke again, soft tones barely audible but deliberate. The cubs relaxed, pressing closer to her. Their small bodies moved like water around her knees. The mother growled, confused. Lena could feel the tension, the decision forming in the giant creature's mind. She did not move quickly. She did not raise her voice. She let her calm guide the cubs, let them form a shield, let them act as both guardians and indicators. Every movement was deliberate, controlled, intentional. The Keth were silent. No one moved. Their calculations had failed. Fear had no meaning here. Humans did not panic in the way the Keth expected. Fear was useful, yes, but humans had something else. Something older. Something instinctive. Something that let them survive predators without weapons, without shields, without armor. Lena was showing it now. The mother predator could feel it. Its instincts told it to attack, but its mind told it to wait. The cubs would not flee. They trusted this human. They would fight for her if needed. The mother growled, the sound rolling through the outposts, through the towers, through the air. Lena let it wash over her, felt it like a wave, and remained still. Outside, the jungle shook again. Smaller predators ran, sensing the tension. The mother predator's steps slowed. It sniffed the air repeatedly. Lena could feel its anger, curiosity, and confusion. It did not understand this human. She did not fear it. She guided the cubs, yet she did not push them. She allowed them to act as a bridge between herself and the danger outside. Slowly, the mother predator stepped closer to the habitat walls, its massive head tilted, sniffing. Lena did not move. She did not raise her voice. She whispered again, soft rolling tones, and the cubs pressed closer. One even brushed its head against her shoulder. Lena did not flinch. She felt the warmth, the trust, the instinctual connection. It was not alone. The cubs were with her, and for now, that was enough. The Keith soldiers in the chamber muttered quietly. "She is controlling them," one said. "She is surviving," another whispered. The leader did not speak. He could not. His mind raced. He had studied thousands of species. He had captured, observed, and tested every kind of creature. Every calculation he had made had been correct. And yet this human defied all of them. Calm in the face of apex predators, commanding the cubs without force, surviving without weapons. It was impossible. And yet it was happening. Minutes passed. The mother predator circled, growled low, and paused. Its glowing eyes locked on the habitat, on Lena, on the cubs. Lena stayed still, her voice a soft hum, her body relaxed but ready. The cubs moved closer. The largest curled slightly around her knees, pressing warm fur against her. The others mirrored it. Lena let her gaze drift over the mother predator, careful not to show fear. She let her instincts guide her, let the cubs form a barrier, let the predator judge the human's worth. Then the mother predator made a decision. It let out a low, long rumble, stepped back, and disappeared into the jungle. The ground shook less, the air seemed lighter. The cubs relaxed completely, tails flicking. Lena exhaled slowly, letting her body release tension. She smiled slightly, small, controlled. Not a wide grin. The cubs pressed against her, soft purrs vibrating through her hands. She had survived the first true test. The Keith observers were silent. None spoke. Their calculations, predictions, and fears had failed. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were not weak. Humans were dangerous in a way the Keth had never understood. For the next hour, Lena stayed crouched with the cubs. She whispered softly, letting them settle. They sniffed, licked, and curled around her. Outside, the jungle returned to its normal sounds, though tense. Cubs is a very crack, every movement. The mind analyzed threats, possibilities, dangers, and escape routes. She had no weapons, no support. Only herself and the cubs. But for now, it was enough. She had survived. The mother predator had recognized her strength. And the cubs trusted her. The Keth soldiers outside finally moved. They carefully entered the habitat chamber, weapons ready, expecting violence. Lena did not move. The cubs hissed once, a warning, but stayed close. The soldiers froze. They had not expected this. The human did not fight. She did not run. She was calm, confident, and in control. Slowly, the soldiers lowered their weapons. The Keth leader stared at the screen. He did not speak. He could not. He had never seen anything like this. The human was small, fragile, yet she had survived apex predators without a single weapon. She had survived by understanding them, guiding them, and trusting them, not fearing them. And now the soldiers themselves were unsure. Were they here to guard her, or to watch her survive? Night fell over the outpost. The jungle grew darker, shadows stretching between the trees. The cubs slept near Lena, bodies warm and calm. She sat quietly, eyes scanning the walls, listening to every sound. The mother predator was still out there. It had retreated for now, but it would return. Lena knew this. She could feel its presence in the ground, in the air, and the vibrations that never fully stopped. But she was ready. She had learned to read the cubs. She had learned to read the predators. And she had learned that fear was not the only language of survival. Calm, control, and understanding were just as strong. Perhaps stronger. The Keth watched everything. They recorded, calculated, and whispered. None understood. Humans were supposed to be weak, small, easy prey. This one had survived predators that could crush them in a heartbeat. This one had survived by using her mind, her instincts, and the trust of creatures far stronger than herself. And the Keith feared what they could not calculate, what they could not control. That fear was theirs, not hers. Lena closed her eyes for a moment. She felt the cubs curl against her legs. She breathed slowly, carefully listening to the jungle and the outposts. The mother predator would return. Other dangers would follow, but she was ready. She had survived the first true test, and she would survive the next. No shields, but she had herself, and for now, that was enough. The first night passed with no attacks. The cubs slept close to her, their soft breaths warm against her skin. She whispered to them in low tones, her voice calm and steady. The mother predator remained in the jungle, watching, testing, waiting. Lena knew the battle was not over, but she had learned something important. Fear could be controlled, predators could be guided, and humans, small and fragile in appearance, could survive in ways the Keth would never understand. The night was long, but Lena did not sleep. She listened. She waited. She planned. She learned. And in the darkness, the cubs slept near her, trusting her completely. The first real victory had been won, but the real challenges were still ahead. And Lena, small human on a dangerous moon, was ready for them. The sun rose slowly over the jungle moon, casting long shadows through the thick green trees. Lena sat in the habitat chamber, the cubs curled around her. Their small bodies pressed against her legs, tails flicking lightly, eyes half closed. The night had been quiet, but she knew it was only temporary. The mother predator had retreated, yes, but it had not disappeared. It was out there, watching, calculating, waiting for the right moment. Lena could feel it in the vibrations of the ground beneath the habitat. Her instincts told her danger would return soon. She did not panic. She had survived before. She could survive again. The cubs shifted as she moved slightly, sniffing the air. Lena whispered softly, a low hum that they recognized. They pressed closer. Their warmth comforted her. The Keth observers in the tower watched silently. The leader tapped his fingers on the console. She has no weapons.
No defenses, and yet she commands them.
She is not afraid. Outside, the jungle stirred. Trees bent under the weight of something enormous moving through them. Birds scattered into the air. A low rumble rolled across the ground. Lena stiffened. The mother predator had returned. She could hear its steps through the thick walls of the habitat. The cubs lifted their heads. Their glowing eyes reflected the early sunlight. They crouched low, muscles tense, tails flicking. Lena stayed calm. She whispered to them again, soft tones, letting them know she was with them, guiding them. The Keth soldiers had raised their weapons, expecting panic or a frantic human. Lena did not panic. She did not run. She remained calm, her body relaxed but ready. Her hands moved slowly, palms open toward the cubs, letting them sense her control. The largest cub pressed its head against her palm, the other two following its lead. The mother predator approached the outpost wall. Its massive black body moved with terrifying grace. Its claws dug into the soft earth. Its glowing eyes scanned the habitat, reading the cubs, reading Lena. It growled low, a sound that shook the air, the walls, and the hearts of the Keth soldiers. Lena felt it through the floor. She did not flinch. She lowered herself slightly, eyes on the cubs, body calm. She let them form a protective barrier around her. Their instincts were sharp, alert, and ready to defend her if needed. The mother predator sniffed the air, rumbled again, then tested the wall. Its massive paw hit the metal lightly at first, then harder. The Keth soldiers shouted, but Lena did not move. She watched, her mind analyzing every movement of the predator. She could feel its strength, its intelligence, its wild mind. The cubs responded instantly, hissing low, moving closer to her. Lena whispered softly, a rolling tone, and they relaxed slightly, trusting her guidance. Minutes passed. The mother predator circled the habitat, growling, sniffing, pacing. It tested the cubs. It tested Lena, but it did not attack. Lena could sense the hesitation. The mother predator knew instinctively that the cubs trusted her. It hesitated because the cubs were her own, and the human was in the middle. Lena stayed still, did not make sudden moves. She let her calm guide the cubs. They mirrored her breathing, her posture, her subtle movements. The Keth observers exchanged worried glances. "Ah, she is not afraid," one whispered. "She is guiding them." And the predator recognizes it. The leader frowned. Humans survive differently. They do not always rely on fear. They rely on instinct. Inside the habitat, Lena shifted slightly to make herself more visible to the cubs. She let her hand brush the largest cub gently, encouraging it to press close to her. The other two cubs moved around her in a protective circle. She whispered softly, letting her calm wash over them. They trusted her completely. The mother predator growled, pacing, circling, then froze. It sniffed the air, observing the human and the cubs. Lena could feel the tension, the unspoken challenge. The predator was deciding. It could attack, or it could retreat. Lena stayed calm, letting the cubs show her importance, letting them form a barrier between her and danger. She did not raise her voice. She did not threaten. She did not run. The predator tested the wall again, striking with a massive paw. The cubs hissed, claws scraping the floor, muscles tense. Lena whispered, low and steady. The cubs relaxed slightly, pressing closer. The predator stopped. It sniffed the air one last time. Then, after a long pause, it turned and retreated into the jungle. Lena exhaled slowly. Cubs relaxed completely, curling against her legs, tails flicking softly. She whispered to them, letting her voice soothe their nerves. Outside, the jungle returned to its normal rhythm, though still tense. The Keth observers were silent. None understood what they had witnessed. Humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to fear apex predators, and yet this human had survived. He survived not by weapons or technology, but by understanding, instinct, and calm control. The Keth leader tapped his fingers nervously. "She is not weak. She is something else," he muttered. Lena moved carefully among the cubs, checking each one, listening to their breaths, feeling their warmth. No weapons, no shields, no help. And yet she had survived. She could feel the predator's presence still in the jungle, sensing, watching. Lena knew the mother predator would not give up easily. It would return, testing her again. But she was ready. She had learned to read the cubs, she had learned to read the predators, and she had learned that calm, control, and understanding were more powerful than fear. Hours passed. The cubs slept near her, bodies pressed against hers. Lena remained alert, listening to the jungle, analyzing every vibration. The Keth soldiers occasionally checked the chamber, their weapons ready, but they did not interfere. They could not understand. This human was small, fragile, yet she had survived predators that could crush them with a single blow. She had survived without striking, without threatening. She had survived by guiding, understanding, and trusting. Lena remained with the cubs, watching, listening. The mother predator was out there, somewhere in the jungle, still observing, still waiting. Lena knew that it would test her again, perhaps more aggressively this time. She did not fear it. She had survived its first test. She had survived its second. She could survive the next. Her instincts were sharp, her mind clear, her trust in the cubs complete. The Keth leader finally spoke, voice low and tense. Humans are dangerous. Not because they fight, not because they are strong, because they survive. They survive in ways we cannot predict. They survive by understanding, by instinct, by patience. And that terrifies me. She did not need to. She focused on the cubs, feeling their warmth, their trust, their small, alert bodies pressed against her legs. Ah, she whispered softly, rolling tones, letting them know she was calm, letting them know she was with them. Outside, the jungle remained tense. The mother predator's eyes glowed from the shadows. Lena felt the vibration of its paws in the ground. She did not flinch. She stayed calm. She let the cubs act as a shield, a bridge, a signal. They trusted her completely. Time passed slowly. The mother predator did not attack again that day. The cubs slept near her. Lena remained vigilant. Boo! She could hear the forest around the outpost, the smaller creatures sensing the tension, moving quietly. The Keth recorded everything, silent, unable to comprehend what they saw. Lena whispered again, low and steady. The cubs stirred slightly, moving closer, their warmth a comfort. She had survived the first night, the first day, the first test of the mother predator. She had survived by instinct, by calm, by trust. She would survive the next, and when the predator returned, she would be ready. Night fell again. The cubs curled against her legs, warm and calm. Lena listened carefully, hearing every sound, feeling every vibration. The mother predator prowled nearby. Lena did not sleep. She did not flinch. She waited, knowing that her calm, her instincts, and the trust of the cubs were her greatest weapons. The Keth leader watched silently from the tower. He knew the human was not prey. He knew she was something else, something dangerous, something the Keth could not understand. And that realization made him afraid. Lena remained with the cubs, small and calm, ready for whatever came next. The jungle moon was alive with danger, but she had survived. She had survived the mother predator once, twice. And she would survive again. Her instincts were sharp. Her mind was clear, and the cubs trusted her completely. The first victory had been small. The real challenges were still ahead. And Lena, small human on a dangerous moon, was ready for them. The jungle moon was quiet in the early hours, but Lena knew that calm was only temporary. The cubs slept near her, bodies curled against her legs. Their soft purrs and warm fur comforted her, but she did not close her eyes for long. The mother predator had tested her twice already, and she knew it would return. The forest beyond the outpost was alive with movement, vibrations, and the faint scent of other predators. Lena listened carefully, her mind scanning every detail, every possible threat. She had survived so far by calm, instinct, and trust, but she could not underestimate the danger now. The Keth had not been idle. The council in the main outpost chamber had convened. Long, tall beings with pale gray skin and black eyes moved in circles, discussing in low tones. One spoke sharply, voice full of tension. The human survives despite our tests. She is not afraid of predators. She is not afraid of us. This is unacceptable, another added. We underestimated her instincts. We thought fear would break her. Instead, she guides the cubs, calms them, and survives every encounter. She cannot be allowed to live unchecked. The leader of the council, older and larger than most, tapped his fingers against the console. She is not prey. She is something else. Something dangerous. If we allow her to remain, other species will hear of her. Other systems will know. Humans cannot be underestimated. The council agreed. A new plan was formed. They would send a specialized strike team, far stronger than the small patrols before, to capture or eliminate Lena. They would bring weapons designed to kill predators, force humans into submission, and control everything in the habitat. The mother predator, as dangerous as it was, would be a tool to test her again. They believed the human would finally fail. Inside the habitat, Lena sensed the tension. She did not have technology to see what the Keth were planning, but she could feel the change in the outpost. The cubs stirred, uneasy, tails flicking nervously. Lena whispered to them softly, rolling tones that humans used to calm animals. They pressed closer. She had no weapons, no shields. Her only tools were her instincts, her calm, and the trust of the cubs. Hours passed. The sun rose higher, shadows stretching across the habitat walls, Lena moved carefully among the cubs, checking them, listening to the jungle, feeling every vibration through the stone floor. She could hear the subtle changes in the air, the way the smaller predators shifted, the way the jungle seemed to hold its breath. Something was coming. She did not panic. Panic would only confuse the cubs, and if the cubs panicked, the mother predator would attack. She whispered to them, soft rolling tones, letting them know she was calm, letting them trust her completely. Outside, the strike team approached. They were stronger, larger, and armed with weapons designed to kill. They moved silently, almost like predators themselves. Sensors flared as they neared the habitat. The Keth leader watched eagerly, expecting the human to falter. They believed she could not survive this. Inside, Lena felt the vibrations of the strike team through the floor. She crouched, her hands brushing the cubs, letting them know she was calm. She whispered softly, rolling tones again. The cubs responded, moving around her, forming a protective circle. Their small bodies were tense but ready to defend her. Lena's instincts guided them. She felt every movement, every shift of weight, every soft sound from the jungle in the outpost. The strike team reached the habitat. They paused, scanning, ready to act. Lena remained still, eyes on the cubs, hands gently resting on their backs. The cubs hissed once, a low warning. Lena whispered again. They relaxed slightly, still alert. The human had no weapons, but the predators around her were her shield. The first strike came. A beam of energy from the Keth weapons hit the far wall of the habitat, scattering dust and causing the cubs to jump. Lena stayed still. She whispered softly, calm and steady. The cubs returned to her side, pressing against her legs. The strike team advanced cautiously, scanning for threats. The mother predator's presence in the jungle heightened the tension, though it remained hidden. Lena could feel its eyes, calculating, waiting. The Keth soldiers moved closer, expecting resistance or panic. Lena remained calm. She knew they would not expect what she would do.
She let the cubs move around her, bodies tight and ready. She whispered low and rolled in tones.
The cubs responded instantly, alert and focused. The strike team hesitated, sensing something. It could see the cubs, but they did not understand the connection between human and predators. The mother predator emerged from the shadows, massive and terrifying. Its eyes glowed, teeth bared, muscles rippling. Lena felt the vibration through her body. The cubs hissed, and she whispered softly to them. They pressed closer, forming a wall of protection. The strike team fired, beams of energy hitting the ground near the predators. Lena did not move. She stayed calm, letting the cubs act, letting the predators react instinctively. The mother predator growled deep and low, echoing across the jungle. The strike team froze. They had not expected this. The cubs leapt forward, not to attack, but to protect Lena. They moved with precise timing, blocking the energy beams, ducking, shifting, guiding the mother predator's attention. Lena remained in the center, calm, hands brushing the largest cub. She whispered, soft tones, and the predators responded immediately. Their movements were coordinated, instinctual, guided by her calm presence. The mother predator growled louder, confused by the human's control, but unable to strike directly without risking the cubs. The Keth leader shouted orders. Eliminate her! Kill the cubs! Destroy the threat. But the human did not panic. She let the cubs move, letting them act as a barrier. The mother predator circled, testing. Lena stayed calm. Her voice rolled softly, guiding the cubs, letting them trust her completely. The strike team advanced again, cautiously. The cubs hissed, claws scraping, tails flicking. Lena whispered softly, and they relaxed slightly, still alert. Suddenly, one of the cubs leapt at the nearest strike soldier, not to attack, but to distract. Lena stayed still, hands on the cubs, voice calm. The soldier raised his weapon, aiming, but the cub moved with perfect timing, knocking him off balance. The other cubs mirrored the movement, circling, distracting, protecting. The mother predator roared from the jungle, its massive body moving closer. The strike team froze, unsure of how to act. Lena did not move. She guided the cubs with soft whispers, subtle movements, letting them act instinctively. She did not strike, she did not order. She simply let them respond to her calm presence. The strike team fired again, beams hitting the ground and walls, but the cubs moved, shielding her, responding with perfect coordination. The mother predator circled the habitat, growling, testing, hesitant. Lena remained calm. Her instincts, her presence, her trust with the cubs were stronger than any weapon. Hours passed. The Keth Council grew tense. The strike team reported nothing. The human had survived every attack, every test, without weapons, without armor, without help. The cubs and the mother predator remained under her control, responding to her calm, her understanding, her instinct. The Keth leader stared at the monitors, silent. He could not comprehend what he saw. Humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to fear apex predators. This one had survived every test. Lena whispered again, soft and low. The cubs pressed closer, tails flicking, bodies tense but trusting. The mother predator remained near the edge of the habitat, watching, calculating. The strike team began to retreat, unsure of how to proceed. Lena stayed still, calm, alert. She had no weapons. She had no shields. She had only her instincts and the trust of the predators around her, and that was enough. The council debated what to do next. Some wanted to attack again. Others feared the unpredictability of the human. The leader finally spoke. Humans survive because they do not fight like we expect. They do not fear like we expect. They survive by instinct, by patience, by control. She cannot be allowed to continue. But how do we act without failing? Inside the habitat, Lena remained calm. The cubs slept near her, bodies curled, warm and trusting. She listened to the jungle, feeling every vibration. The mother predator remained near, watching, waiting for another chance, but unsure. Lena did not panic. She did not flinch. She had survived the first attack. She had survived the second. She would survive again. The sun set, casting long shadows across the habitat. Lena whispered to the cubs, soft, rolling tones. They pressed closer, alert but calm. The mother predator prowled the jungle, its glowing eyes watching. Lena felt the vibrations in the floor, the tension in the air, the unspoken threat of the Keth. She did not fear it. She had survived predators, attacks, and tests by instinct, by calm, by understanding. She had survived because humans could survive when others could not. The night was long. The cubs slept near her, soft and warm. Lena remained alert, listening to the jungle, feeling every vibration. The mother predator remained outside, curious, cautious, waiting for her next move. Lena knew the council would act again. The strike team would return, stronger, more prepared. But she was ready. Her instincts were sharp. Her mind was clear. Her trust in the cubs was complete. Humans survived differently. Humans survived because they could play with danger, guide predators, and remain calm in the face of overwhelming threats. Lena had proven it once. She would prove it again. The council feared her. The predators trusted her. And Lena, small, human in a dangerous world, was ready for whatever came next. The jungle moon was dark, thick shadows stretching between the trees. Lena crouched near the cubs, her hands resting on their warm, tense bodies. The air smelled of wet soil and distant fire. She had felt the vibrations all day, subtle at first, then stronger. Something was coming. The Keth Council had not given up. They were sending the final strike. Stronger, deadlier. She knew it. She did not flinch. She had survived predators, traps, and alien soldiers before. She could survive this too. The cubs shifted, sensing her tension. Lena whispered softly, a low, rolling tone that calmed them. They pressed closer, forming the circle around her. Their small bodies were tense, ready, alert, but trusting. Lena could feel their hearts beating, fast and sharp, matching her own rhythm. She did not panic. She never panicked. Her instincts were sharp. Her mind was clear. Her body was ready. Outside the habitat, the jungle trembled with movement. The mother predator prowled near the perimeter, massive and terrifying. Its eyes glowed, teeth bared, muscles rippling. The strike team moved closer, their weapons gleaming under the moonlight. They were silent, calculated, precise. The Keth leader watched from the tower, fingers tapping rapidly on the console. "This time she will fail," he muttered. Inside, Lena felt the vibrations of the approaching soldiers. She crouched, hands brushing the cubs. She whispered softly. They pressed against her legs, tails flicking, muscles tense but controlled. She had no weapons, no shields, only instincts and trust. And that had been enough before. She let the cubs act as a barrier. She let them move, respond, anticipate. She guided them with subtle gestures, soft murmurs, and calm presence. The first strike came. A beam of energy slammed against the outer wall of the habitat. Dust and debris scattered. The cubs hissed, claws scraping the floor. Lena stayed still, whispering, letting her calm reach them. They returned to her side, pressing close, trusting her completely. The mother predator growled from the shadows, massive body low, eyes locked on the humans. The strike team advanced cautiously, scanning for threats. Lena did not flinch. She let the cubs move naturally, guiding them with her subtle gestures. The predators mirrored her movements. They were coordinated, instinctual, and alert. The strike team fired again. Beams of energy cut through the jungle air, striking the ground near the cubs. Lena remained calm. The cubs shifted, circling her, guiding the mother predator into positions where the soldiers could not attack without risk. The mother predator roared and leapt forward, massive paws striking the ground near the strike team. The soldiers staggered back, uncertain, afraid. The cubs pressed close to Lena, ready to defend. Lena whispered again, rolling tones soft and low. They moved instinctively, coordinated, protective. The strike team hesitated. The Keth leader shouted orders. "Eliminate her! Kill the cubs! Destroy everything." Lena did not move. She let the cubs act. She let the predators respond to her calm. She had survived every challenge this way. This was the ultimate test, but she was ready. Her instincts were sharper than ever. She scanned the surroundings, noting every tree, every shadow, every vibration. She saw paths, weaknesses, openings. She saw a way to survive and turn the tide. The mother predator circled, confused. Its instincts told it to attack, but the human had control of the cubs. The soldiers were hesitant. Lena saw the opportunity. She rose slightly, standing just enough to show confidence without threat. The cubs mirrored her, tails flicking, bodies tense but ready. She whispered again, guiding them to flank the strike team without aggression. The mother predator followed their movement, sensing the coordination. Suddenly, a small squad of Keth soldiers broke from the trees, advancing too quickly. The cubs leapt forward, hissing, claws scraping, bodies moving as one. Lena stayed still, hands resting gently on the largest cub guiding them. The predators formed a living shield, forcing the soldiers to halt, uncertain. The mother predator roared from the jungle, massive body moving to flank the soldiers. The humans froze. Lena whispered again, soft tones guiding the cubs to nudge and distract without attack. The strike team was confused, unable to understand. The cubs moved instinctively, blocking, guiding, controlling the battlefield. The mother predator followed their lead, unsure, restrained. Lena had no weapons, but her influence on the predators created chaos among the soldiers. Shots fired, but the cubs dodged. The mother predator held back, waiting. The Keth leader's face turned pale. This was not supposed to happen. Lena scanned the battlefield. She saw an opening near the control tower. If she could reach it, she could manipulate the energy barriers, turn the soldiers' own defenses against them, she whispered to the cubs. They moved, circling her as she advanced slowly, careful, steady. The mother predator sensed the movement, paused, then followed her lead instinctively. The strike team tried to shoot, but Lena and the cubs were coordinated. Every move she made was mirrored by the predators. A beam of energy struck near her, throwing dust into the air. Lena crouched, whispered, and the cubs shifted to shield her. She kept moving, carefully, toward the control tower. The soldiers were unsure, hesitant, fearful. The predator's presence was overwhelming. The mother predator roared from the jungle, massive claws digging into the soil. Lena's instincts told her exactly when to move, when to pause, when to guide the cubs. Finally, she reached the control tower. Barai. She scanned the panel with her hands. There were no keys or screens she could understand. But instinct told her what to do. She pressed, twisted, and waited. Alarms flared. Energy barriers shifted. The strike team was trapped, cut off from their own reinforcements. The cubs hissed, tails high, bodies tense. The mother predator circled, confused, restrained. Lena smiled faintly. She had turned the attack against the attackers. The soldiers tried to break through, but the barriers held. The cubs pressed close, guiding, controlling, protecting. The mother predator waited, unsure, restrained by Lena's calm influence. The Keth leader shouted in frustration. "Impossible! She has no weapons. How can she control predators? How can she survive?" Lena whispered softly, letting her calm flow to the cubs. They pressed closer, hissing, tails flicking, guarding her. The mother predator's glowing eyes followed her movements, calculating, curious, restrained. Lena did not flinch. She did not panic. Her instincts, her mind, her trust in the cubs had created a shield stronger than any weapon. Hours passed. The strike team remained trapped, confused, and afraid. The Keth Council debated what to do, but none could act against the human and the predators. Lena stayed alert, whispering softly, guiding the cubs. She had survived predators, soldiers, and councils. She had survived everything thrown at her. The mother predator finally stepped back into the jungle, massive body tense but respectful. The cubs relaxed slightly, pressing against Lena. The Keth leader stared at the monitors, speechless. Humans were small, fragile, and seemingly weak. But Lena had shown them something far more powerful. She survived by instinct, by calm, by trust, and by intelligence. She had turned threats against themselves. She had guided apex predators without weapons. She had survived impossible odds. The council could not comprehend it. Lena knelt, her hands resting on the cubs, whispering softly. They pressed close, tails flicking, bodies warm. The mother predator remained in the jungle, watching, waiting, but no longer attacking. The strike team retreated, confused, defeated by a small human and 3 young predators. Lena did not chase them. She remained calm, alert, ready. She had survived. The night fell again. The jungle was alive with distant sounds. Lena whispered softly to the cubs, letting them settle, letting them know she was calm. They pressed close, soft purrs vibrating against her hands. She had survived every test, every attack, every predator. She had proven what humans could do. Humans were unpredictable, clever, resilient, and strong in ways the Keth could not calculate. The mother predator circled in the shadows, massive body, low, glowing eyes watching. Lena's instincts told her it respected her now. The cub slept near her, warm and safe. She whispered softly, letting her calm reach them. She had survived. She had survived without weapons, without armor, without support. Only with her mind, her instincts, and the trust of the predators around her. The Keth Council could do nothing. They had underestimated the human. They had sent predators, strike teams, and energy weapons. Every test had failed. The human had survived. And more than survived, she had controlled, guided, and turned danger against those who sought to harm her. Lena closed her eyes for a moment, letting herself breathe. She had faced apex predators, alien soldiers, and a council that wanted her dead. She had survived them all. She had survived because humans were not weak. Humans were clever. Humans were patient. Humans could turn fear into control, danger into advantage, predators into allies. The jungle night stretched endlessly. Lena whispered to the cubs softly. They pressed against her, bodies warm, tails flicking, alert but calm. The mother predator remained in the distance, massive eyes watching, calculating, aware. Lena opened her eyes, scanning the jungle, alert, ready for whatever came next. She had survived everything so far, and she would survive anything that came. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were dangerous. Humans survived in ways the Keith could not understand. Lena had proven it, and she would continue to prove it. The jungle was alive with threats, with predators, with hunters, with dangers. But Lena, small human with instinct, intelligence, and trust, was alive. She had survived, and she would continue to survive. The moon cast long shadows. The cubs slept near her. The mother predator watched from the jungle. The Keth could only stare at their monitors, unable to comprehend the power of a single human who survived the impossible. Lena whispered softly, a low, rolling tone. The cubs stirred, calm and warm. She pressed her hands on them, feeling the heartbeat of life, strength, and survival. Humans survived because they were clever, patient, and fearless in ways no one could predict. Lena had survived because she was human,